Hello, and thank you again for being here. I hope you're enjoying the videos, and today I want to go a little bit beyond emails. And let's say you're at an event, and I want to talk about how to exit a conversation gracefully. You have probably been to some networking events or um, where people just say hello and or you're introduced by somebody, which is always the better way. And you feel sometimes a little bit obligated to continue talking with them, but you would like to move on because you see some other people to whom you would like to say hello. And I don't know if this has happened to you, but it has even happened to me. Um, there's sometimes people who are not so well educated in social mannerisms. They kind of like turn your back and they think it's kind of a natural thing, but it all depends. I mean, it can naturally happen that somebody's turning your back because they're speaking with somebody when they see that you have another conversation partner. If you're there, left completely alone, and somebody just kind of turns your back, that's incredibly rude. That's like the rudest possible thing that somebody could actually do. So I thought that this is an important conversation to be had. So how to gracefully exit a conversation and still stay relevant. So you may be introduced. It could be any kind of a social situation, really, where you have more people that are walking about and saying hello to one another. Um, I should probably make also a video on how to gracefully start a conversation without being introduced. Of course, it all depends on the context. My context will always be business networking meetings, sometimes diplomatic circles, and neither one of the two mentioned are always the most polite ones, unfortunately. But I do go to a lot of art gallery openings and vernissages, and there um, you get a mix. You get a mix of very polite and highly educated people with very um, well-developed social skills and, and thoughtfulness. And you also get all kinds of other types. So you before going into such an event, I think it's helpful to define and to sort of set your expectations and to set your mode. Because if you know you will be going to um, a diplomatic event, and what I mean by diplomatic event, um, I'm in Geneva, so I've had the chance to sometimes go to some of the UN meetings. And if you can imagine, these are people who work for the government, so they are um, United Nations representatives or sometimes advisors and all levels. And they come from all around the world. So their cultural norms and cultural cues are so very different. So there you can see, as they say in French, all the colors. Quite a distressful situation, but it helps if you already know in advance to not go in with the same expectations and kind of prepare yourself mentally quite differently than if you were invited by, I don't know, if you went to the opening at a big jeweler, a private sales opening where you know a lot of wealthy people will be there, um, or a museum special event or something like that. I think the expectations of how would you like to present yourself and who are the people that could potentially speak to you are quite different. Same with the business situation. In a business situation, you can get quite a mix. Here in Switzerland, the business is just Mm, I would say a lot faster, but it still holds the very old European social norms. You do get a mix sometimes of people who are who have inherited their wealth and who are not really working and are trying to find their way. So they're actually very well educated, but they don't keep it as a standard. So keeping the standard is also something very important. It's something that you can have a conversation with with yourself with. What is your standard in your daily basis? What is your internal standard where you feel comfortable? So these are probably also the type of people with which you will want to find common ground with, and then you prepare yourself mentally of how I'm prepared to react to people who are not, who are either more rigid and more old-fashioned than you, or less old-fashioned than you, or considerably less old-fashioned than you, without losing your own equilibrium and you're keeping up your own standard. This is very important in a conversation. You can have somebody coming into a room and nobody's talking to you, and you don't know anyone, but you don't need to, because with time, your presence and your persona um, will bring about a conversation. If you get a little bit too eager, which is something that I have done myself in my more youthful days, um, people can sort of feel that, and then they get a little bit annoyed by that as well because they don't really know you. So, by staying silent, by paying attention, by enjoying certain things that are being presented, oftentimes opens a conversation. 99% of the time, somebody will come up and comment something nicely because they have observed you. They have seen that you're not there to get to anyone, that you're holding your own ground, that you're there for your own purpose. You know why you're there and you feel comfortable in your skin. Because people who are comfortable, who are not needy, attract like a magnet. So you can take that position and feel good about it. So let's talk about leaving a conversation. So we're having a conversation and you feel like the person is kind of getting very comfortable talking to you, and they're probably maybe also the only ones in the room, and you don't necessarily want to continue the conversation because you have some people walking in the room with whom you should say hello, that you would like to say hello. So, how to live politely? The goal is that you want to leave your current conversation with a way that the person would like to continue the communication with you later. So it cannot be abrupt, it cannot offend them. You should not be turning your back and leaving them all alone, sort of stuck in the corner and not knowing what to do. Incredibly rude, as I mentioned before. And I've had that happen. And in Geneva, you can see quite a bit of that happening, which is not much unlike the kind of behavior you can see in Eastern European trams when people come into the tram and push you around, and pretty much the same kind of thinking. I can't say it's the most advanced um, social skill. So that's the point. When you're leaving the conversation, you don't, you want to always leave the door open because you don't know, maybe, unless you really don't want to. But I'm just assuming that it would be nice to leave any conversation with kind of a good feeling, because at the end of the day, people don't always remember what you said. They remember how they felt. And when they remember how they felt, most of the time, It's a combination of how they imagined it would feel, how it felt, and what they were left with, which is the most important component. So when you leave a conversation, it's always nice to keep that in mind and to say, um, to set the goal that you want to leave in a polite way, so it leaves the door open. Um, Point number two, you can just name the exit instead of just kind of drifting. You shouldn't really be drifting. Um, when somebody talks to you, even if it's just to keep to have human contact, you don't need to have necessarily a big agenda while you're there. You don't want to be kind of drifting. So if you want to go say hello to somebody, you can just be clear about it. And you say, I have really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for coming up to me, or thank you so much for your time. Thank you for introducing yourself. But there are some people in the room that I would like to say hello to, and have a good day. Or I would like to continue this, or I hope we see each other at our next event, or anything. So be polite, be clear, and state what you want to do. So when you leave, even if the person is kind of left alone, you can even say, "I'm sorry if I'm leaving you all kind of alone or looking at whatever you're looking at, depending what kind of situation you're in for the moment. But there's somebody that I would really like to say hello to, and I'm afraid that they will leave. So excuse me. I enjoyed our conversation and enjoy the rest of the evening. And if you stay later, possible that we will have a chance to continue our conversation. Whatever it is, don't lie. Be but stated politely. Point three, give something before you go. A fact, a contact, an offer, anything that is concrete. Uh, and what I mean by that is that you don't have to give your email. You don't even have to say what you do in life. But there's something probably that you have noticed if you are at I don't know, if your jeweler is opening or some kind of a art gallery opening, let's say, or at a museum. You notice something that's important to you, and even that small talk conversation, you can just bring attention to it and say, well, I actually noticed, or I was here 2 weeks ago, and it was a very interesting talk. In one of these Renaissance paintings, um, there's a very small item that inspired a very important contemporary artist that is from this town, for example, or anything. Anything of that sort that is unique and interesting, and don't be afraid to talk to people about your experiences because they will now remember your name, they will remember the emotion. And if you want them to remember something, anything about them, it's usually a concrete story, something that you have noticed and shared in a unique way. And it doesn't have to be super philosophical. It can just be something beautiful, for example, or something that touched you. A little bit, which a little bit more than the cloud formation outside, even though that can also be interesting. Um, Point four, yeah, this is quite interesting, and it is done very much consistently in all Europe that you follow up within 48 hours. If somebody has given you their business card and it is really standard politeness, even though sometimes you may be following later and um, or they're following up with you. But especially if you want to keep in touch with somebody and you enjoy the conversation. Um, I mean, there's some people that are handing out business cards just like this. I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking more about you've had a conversation, you have enjoyed it, you had some interesting topics. Um, I had actually this happen to me quite recently. There's a woman who's doing all these different projects, and um, she's a very wealthy lady who really cared about children's education. She cared about world peace and art, and wanted to do events. She's actually discussing with certain towns here in Switzerland where they can do like a whole weekend for the children, and we need to look for sponsors and involve different entrepreneurs and have children involved in creating, which is all very beautiful and wonderful. And she spent so much time talking to me about it and repeatedly during one event. So at the end of the event, we exchanged cards. And she was an older lady than me, but I'm still in my professional age. And she's already retired and very active, as you can see, but still obviously having more time. And her interest in contacting or with me um, was really kind of lopsided. I mean, I couldn't offer her anything that she couldn't be involved with for my professional advancement, but I could certainly offer certain things for her. So even though if there's an age difference in this kind of business situation, she has my card and I have her card. And so for me, it's up to me if I want to follow up with her or not. Most of the time in these kind of situations, I contact people just on LinkedIn and then it's more neutral ground. But she had quite a specific interest in, and she invested quite a significant amount of time talking to me about our projects. And then she didn't follow up at all. Not 1 week later, not 2 weeks later. And I have her card. I don't think I followed up on LinkedIn, but I may, just in case she actually lost the card. Or it could just be one of those things that a person doesn't have a social strategy. They go to events and they talk a lot about what they do and they don't have the reflex. It really is a reflex to immediately follow up. It's very important. Yeah, I think I already mentioned this, that the people don't really remember all the details uh, you talked about, even though it is a part of the things that they retain, but you're leaving the conversation is something very important. And that is an emotional part. So leaving the conversation just gracefully, just to say, my time is up. It's getting a little bit late. It was lovely talking to you. And enjoy the rest of the evening if you stay. And if not, I hope to see you at next events or let's have a coffee together, whatever it is. But leave gracefully, clearly, and it will leave people with a very good emotion about you. And who knows, maybe during some next networking event, when they see you, they will be the ones leaving another conversation to come and say hello to you and maybe introduce you to someone who may end up being a very important part of your life, personal or professional. You never know. So leaving people with positive emotions is something important. I hope this video was helpful. Please do check out my other videos and hope to talk to you soon or to see you here soon. Thank you. Goodbye.